Hello and welcome to this week's video. This is just going to be a talking heads video, no meditation, nothing like that. And it's going to be focusing on Tai Chi qigong. I teach I teach techniques that I've trained in, which I trained in because I realised how beneficial they were for me. And the main techniques that I use are Tai Chi qigong and mindfulness. Okay. Mindfulness is more normally done as a meditation, but you can be mindful doing tasks, doing walking. And I often describe Tai Chi qigong as a kind of meditation for people who can't sit still. Because when you are doing Tai Chi, you are encouraged to be very mindful of how your body is feeling. And one of the first things I say to people when they come into one of my sessions is, nothing you do should cause you any pain or any discomfort. Why is this? Because the term, let's go to the back. Tai Chi is a form of martial art. But within that umbrella, there are other disciplines, of which qigong is one. Tai Chi literally is an anglicised abbreviation of the Chinese term, which is Tai Chi Chuan. The Chi is nothing to do with energy. The correct name is Tai Chi Chuan.
Error 14. Please open the iRobot Home app for help.
And, sorry, I just had a strange sound. And it literally means empty or ultimate fist. Qigong, and there the Qi does mean energy, is energy work. Now take it right back to the roots of traditional Chinese medicine, and they see all illness as being due to an imbalance or blockage of energy flow. I won't go into what the energy is flowing through. The studies of chakras and meridians is a whole other thing. But basically, why you do Qigong is to balance your energy, to make sure you've got the right sort of energy in, and to make sure that the energy is flowing properly. And pain or discomfort is a sign that the energy flow is blocked. So doing Tai Chi qigong, you need to be very, very mindful of how your body is feeling. And another phrase I often use in my sessions is, I don't want you to try and do it perfectly, because, spoiler alert, nobody can. But I want you to do it perfectly for how your body is today. Now, the more mature members of my audience will be only too familiar with the concept that some days your body feels great and other days it just doesn't want to move. So some days, even when you're younger, depending on what you've been doing the day before, some days your body will feel very flexible and other days it won't. The idea behind Qigong is that you feel how your body is and you move it gently in a way that works for how your body is. It's not about pushing your limits, it's about knowing your limits. And that brings in another concept, which is the 70% rule. You know at any one time how much you can do at maximum. We're thinking physically, we're talking, how far you can get your arms above your head, how far you can spread your arms apart, how far you can turn from the waist. You know how far you can do that. In a qigong session, what I want you to do is to dial it back. So you work within 70%. Because if you do that, you're never going to go past your own personal boundary. And if you never go past your own personal boundary, you're never going to cause yourself pain, discomfort, or even worse, injury. And this is why Tai Chi is so useful, because the movements are really, really gentle, quite subtle. You shouldn't be stretching to the extreme. You shouldn't be, sort of trying to push your absolute limits. You should be doing it gently. And then if you've got, slightly arthritic-y hands with a little bit of scar tissue, or if you've got a slightly arthritic-y joint, or you've got tendons and muscles that are a bit knotted, the gentle movements kind of very gently untangle everything. And there is lots of medical evidence that shows that Tai Chi Qigong is really beneficial in things like fibromyalgia or arthritis. I can vouch for that one myself, because it's gentle and it gradually increases the level of movement. It doesn't cause any sudden shocks. So being aware of your body is absolutely key during Qigong. The other thing that's important in Qigong is your body position. Why is this? It's all about energy flow. And logic says, and if you think about water flow, when the pipes are kinked, the water flow slows down. It's just the same. If the energy channels are blocked or kinked because you're bent over, because there's some physical illness that's causing a blockage, then the flow is not going to be as it should. You need to be as straight as possible. I can hear you saying, hang on a minute, you keep going on about how you teach people in wheelchairs. Too right I do. Too right I do. And I know a lot of the wheelchair-based community would say, yeah, these sessions are absolutely wonderful. Because, not about doing it perfectly, but perfectly for you. So when you've got someone who can't control their movements, who can't stand up, can't even sit up, the encouragement is to get your body as straight as you possibly can. And with regular practice, and by regular I do mean every day, the more you practice getting your body into the ideal position, the easier it becomes if you've got a few limitations. And the more you become aware of the ideal position, the more you naturally go into it, and that generally increases your health. Now, there is one very important golden rule that I use with Tai Chi. This is mainly for my wheelchair-based friends. And that's a little mantra. I did not invent it myself, I freely admit. I went online when I first was asked to run sessions for people with cerebral palsy. And I went online because I knew it wasn't going to be a normal class. And I found somebody else had worked one-to-one with somebody with cerebral palsy. And they used the mantra, if you can breathe, you can do it. And that's just as true for the more able-bodied as it is for those who have, you know, a major disability like cerebral palsy or spinal stroke or tetraplegia, whatever. Because although we talk about qi being energy, qi can also be translated as spirit or breath. And in a very real way, your breath and how you breathe is just as important for moving your energy as anything you do with your arms. And if you've done any qigong with me, you will know I'll say, as you breathe in, you do this, and as you breathe out, you do, you know, you normally reverse it. Now, my teacher is very fond of telling us, this is the person who trained me, very fond of telling people that actually in the olden days when this was done in China, because of the way things work, people naturally had strong core muscles in their abdomen. And the concept of not having strong core muscles, they just wouldn't have been able to cope with it. And quite often during my sessions, I end up saying, engage your core abdominal muscles, which is something olden teachers would never had to say because it just happened. But when you have strong abdominal muscles, and if you want to, just place your hands on your abdomen and take a breath in. And you should feel a slight expansion in your belly. And then as you breathe out, there's a bit of a relaxation. Now, when you've got really strong core muscles, the movement of those muscles is enough to kind of translate the movements to the other muscles round it, so that you have to put minimum effort in to getting your arms to move in whatever direction you intend them. And intention is also quite important. Put simply, when you are standing or sitting in the best possible posture and you are engaging your core abdominal muscles to the best of your ability, in a way, all you need to do is breathe and put the slightest of intentions in to get your arms or legs or whatever moving. It all comes from the breath. There is a strong link between Tai Chi Qigong and Taoism. And one of the core tenets of Taoism is a principle called the Wu Wei, which basically translates as effortless effort, which makes no sense whatever in Western terms. But I want you to think in terms of just going with the flow. You just align yourself and just let things happen. Tai Chi Qigong should be completely effortless. So although I say if you can breathe, you can do it, there shouldn't really be any doing it involved. You should just be able to breathe and just let things happen. But we live in the real world and none of us can really do it that way. So there is some effort involved. But with practice, the effort involved becomes less and less and less. Now, why am I wittering on about this today? Well, I want to go back to basics and I want to start leading some Qigong sessions on here. I finally feel I've got the energy to do that. So starting next week, I plan to go through a very short standing Tai Chi Qigong set. And I will demonstrate, I hope, the the principles that we've talked about today. So this is kind of a foundation for what you will hopefully be learning if you watch the subsequent videos. The week after, I am planning to do the same short set, but this time demonstrating it seated for people who cannot stand. Now, by definition, Tai Chi is done standing. So what you do when you're seated is qigong, because you're still working your energy, but it's not Tai Chi. Bit pedantic, I know, but these things matter. Right. I apologise if you can hear a dog barking. That's my son's dog. But I'm going to end this video now and say I will hope to see you next week when we will take this learning up to the next level.